therefore, I've put this bullet point there. What is the difference between religion and fiqh and sharia? The religion was the same from Adam alayhi salam all the way to Muhammad alayhi salam. But the fiqh was different. The fiqh changed because society changed, circumstances changed, different climates, different civilizations, everything changed. The core of the religion was the same. Obedience to God, service to others, and all the values of religion, truth, sincerity, and helping others. Those have stayed the same. In every religion you will find that those values have stayed the same. But what does change is the sharia, is the fiqh. The application of those changes. The issue we have is that we, especially nowadays, we have a fiqh that was developed 400 or 500 years ago, and we're trying to apply that in a totally different context without understanding the purpose behind it. And this verse tells us that that God constantly sent messengers to make sure that the core principles were being applied. And the way you can see this is that there are certain core principles, universal principles, and each prophet came, and that was a case study. They applied those principles. This is what it looks like in its context. The Prophet ﷺ did the same. He applied the universal principles of religion in his context. Now for us to take those outward rules and apply them without taking our context into account will lead to a lot of hardship, a lot of injustice, and a lot of unfairness as well. So it's really important for us to kind of keep in mind. I'm going to, if I can just draw a diagram here for you. If you imagine these are the core elements of religion, the core religion. And then out here, these are the peripheral elements. Now what I mean by the core is there's definitive proof, qati dalil. Nobody, these are non-negotiable, like the 7 beliefs, the 5 pillars, these are non-negotiable. These are very, very clear. Nobody has any disagreement about this. Then you've got peripheral elements where you've got these are dhanni, what we call, there's evidences for and evidences against. This bit never changes. The core will never change. It was the same at the time of Adam alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's the same today. But the bits that do change are these elements, the peripheral elements, the fiqh, as the circumstances change. Now what happens is if we confuse these two elements, we start making this into the core. But actually these elements here will change depending on your context. They will be different. And sometimes you get lots of confusion and problems because we take elements that are in here and try to put them, make them core and impose them on everybody else. The simple rule is that for these things, Allah has given us clear-cut evidences. There is no doubt about these things. These are non-negotiable. Everything else is flexible. It depends on the context and it changes. So therefore, our ulama and our scholars, what they need to do is differentiate, and they do. I mean, I was recently at a conference on the concept of al-wasatiyya, and the middle way. And this element came out that there are core elements. These are qati, nobody can deny these. And then you've got elements which are peripheral, and these depend. And what you will find, most sectarian groups, they argue about these things here. They try to make these compulsory. The fact is that here, there's evidences for and evidences against. So you should be left alone. You're happy to do. You can't force me, but nor can I force you to say it's wrong. Okay? And that's really, comes from this verse here. We have to distinguish between the core elements of religion and the outward sharia and fiqh. We don't negotiate in the middle element, but there is flexibility on everything else. Because the application of the core principles, it changes depending on the context. And there are many examples in history of this. If you look at, say, Imam Shafi, for example, he used to live in Iraq. When he moved to Egypt, 60% of his fiqh changed. 60% of his fiqh changed. Because the context of the people was different. Completely different. But the principles, the core religion never changed. The core was still the same. The outward. So therefore, the key message from these verses is that we must distinguish between the core elements of religion and the peripheral elements of religion, and not confuse the two.